What up, what up, what up? No Cap Conversations. Y'all apologies for being a little bit late. If you're coming in watching the replay, welcome to another conversation where we tailor your thoughts for you to I provide tailored thoughts for you to try on to see how they fit you. Today I wanted to continue our conversation that we started yesterday on building a wealthy wardrobe, and I wanted to talk to you about how. So a lot of people are like, well, I'm gonna practice it till I become it cool, Michael. That was dope. I appreciate that, but how do I build this? How do I build this wealthy wardrobe? And what often happens for a lot of individuals is they miss three key components, right? And if you've been rocking with me for a little while, we're gonna always be talking about your consciousness, construction, and then ultimately the communication. Where they run into issues often is they are trying to buy quick. They're trying to buy quick, buy low, and they're also trying to just buy large amounts, right? So I want you to think about this similar to any other major purchase. So if we were buying a car, if we were buying a house, if we were buying land, you would take time to research. You would be strategic about the purchase to make sure that you're getting the most value out of that purchase and the most benefit. And then lastly, you would make sure that you communicated what your needs were clearly. So let's again review all three of those. You would research, you would make a sound investment, and then you would make sure that you communicated what you needed specifically before you moved into that binding agreement or that purchase. So that's what the wealthy will do. What a lot of guys will do, and a lot of people who are just worried about the fast thing, is they'll buy something quick and then say, well, if I need something else, I'll just grab that later, or I'll just do it later. And the problem is that as I was talking to a millionaire investor, angel investor, and business owner yesterday, Monday, he said, cheap is expensive. And we really don't take that into heart. When you're doing fast fashion, it's expensive. When you're talking about cheap dates, and not cheap is in you're being frugal or being mindful with your money, but I'm talking about a cheap date, like, yo, she was fashion, she was available, so I decided to take her out so I could try to take her home type situation. Well, now you find yourself in a situation where cheap can be very expensive. Well, how can these things be expensive? Well, when it comes to your clothing, if you are buying something cheap, usually the make and the fit is going to be questionable at the beginning anyway. You're not going to want to make the necessary investment for any tailoring or any alterations to make sure that everything is on point. And then you're going to then look lackluster anyway, because it's not a true reflection of what you wanted to execute. So you had something in mind, but you didn't execute on the concept effectively, and now you're just leaving things up in the air, if you will. When it comes to, your dating life, there's numerous guys that I know that met a young lady. She was available. She wasn't somebody that was his 10 or somebody that he valued at all. And they went out, they did what adults do. And then 9 months later, he was the father of, a child that he loves, but he still has angst and has issues with the mother of his child because he didn't properly invest in whatever that relationship was going to look like. Now, listen, also be clear. I'm not telling you just go get the finest chick, nor that you can't find yourself in adult situations the same night that you meet a young lady. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that you always need to be responsible with how you relate to other people and how you are interacting with yourself, and to have morals for yourself, to have standards for yourself, because that is going to save you a lot of time, headache, and heartache in that space. And the same thing is true if you're going to get a car. You go get a nice car that looks nice, but has numerous reports of all different types of issues with that vehicle. And so you went and got it, but now every time you turn around, you're having to take it to the shop or take it to the space. And after a little while, you don't even have a warranty cover, so you're paying out of pocket for that. So in all those situations, cheap is expensive. And cheap is expensive because you didn't take time to research it. You didn't make sure that it was going to fit into the mold of what you were seeking to leverage, and ultimately didn't communicate what you weren't clear about the communication of what you wanted to yourself and to the other people that you were dealing with. But the wealthy, what they do is they say, listen, I'm going to research because I understand that I'm investing in things that I want. So if they're thinking about a large purchase or a large acquisition, right? Don't even think of it as a purchase. You should think of your attire as acquisition, right? That you're merging your looks, you're merging your impressions. Well, now you need to be more strategic about it. You need to research what it is that you're looking for. I pose a challenge to some homies today to give themselves anywhere from 60 to 180 days to try out a concept. So let's say you want to be sartorial. It doesn't mean that you have to go out and buy a whole lot of suits. I'm not telling you to do that, but if you have one suit, I want you to wear that suit at least 50%. 50 is minimum. You should really try to go for 60 to 80% of the time. Go out in a suit. It doesn't have to be suit and tie. Maybe you have a three-piece suit, and so you do suit, vest, and trousers one day with loafers. And the next day you try to do a suit without the vest and sneakers. Like, you try to maneuver those things for the next 60 to 180 days. What happens when you're doing this? Well, you're doing research for yourself. You're doing recon to see how you feel in these different pieces. Especially if you have more than one type of piece to utilize, and you're like, oh, I really like the more casual sporty suit type of look, not so much when I got to be dressed up. I just feel uncomfortable, I feel constricted, these different types of things. So by the end of that 60 to 180 days, you have a better understanding because you've done the necessary research to figure out what works for you. And so when you step out, you're stepping out confident because you have an awareness of what it is that you're doing. And when it's time for you to make the investment, you are now making a sound investment. The second thing that you're doing is you're starting to look to make acquisitions, right? So if you're acquiring something, if you were acquiring land, you would want to make sure that that land is fertile, that it's going to be able to hold property on it. You don't want to be ready to build a house and then you find out it's all marsh and everything that you put up is going to sink, or you're going to have to invest additional funds into creating stakes into the ground and building up on that house. So you want to make sure in the same space that you're taking on the understanding of acquisitions for your attire. So do I need another sport coat? No, actually I need a suit, or I need a tuxedo right now because I already have two suits that were working for me, and I need one formal piece because I want to be in those types of circles where I'm going to be more dressed up. Or on the flip side, a guy who's being told you should go get tuxes. You need it. Every guy needs a great tux. Well, I've never been to a space that needed a tux. Even when I went to my prom, I didn't wear a tux. Like, I wore whatever, right? In that space, it's not going to be a sound investment for that person to invest in a tuxedo. He's not looking to acquire those things. Now, for him, because he's more casual, it may be at that point a time to invest in a quality suit, because he still may need to dress up, or a great blazer that he can wear dressed up with a great pair of dark selvage denim jeans that will allow him to have a different type of look. And don't think that you can't do that, considering I've seen Ralph Lauren do it, I've seen Alan Flusser do it, I've seen some classic guys achieve that. Now they'll say, well, that's because I have all the necessary components in my wardrobe, and I would agree with that, and I also would push back on that, because if you have all the necessary elements in an urban classic wardrobe, then that's a great acquisition. It's a great look, and you can dress that up in several different types of ways. So you're then you've done your due diligence, you've done your research, you're now making sure that the acquisition is going to be sound, it's going to be beneficial to you. And then lastly, you're going to be clear about what it is that you want. You can do that three ways. You can pay attention to the value versus the price. You can pay attention to what it is that you are seeking to obtain versus what it's going to take to obtain that, and I'll explain that in a second. And then lastly, what it is that you want to convey versus what is being conveyed. So the first point is the value versus the cost. So you may go into a space, and it happens all the time when we're here in the shop, where somebody will say, man, I'm just not down with paying $1,000 for a suit. Okay, cool. But you need a suit for work, right? Yes, I need a suit for work. But I could go to Men's Warehouse or Joey Banks and get one for $300 or $400. Matter of fact, I could get three for $300. And I say, okay, cool. What do you do? And they tell me, I'm in law. Okay. So every lawyer for the most part, unless they're in a specific space where they need to play their looks down, is probably having custom clothing made. Now, I'm not asking you to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on the custom clothing, but you should know that because they're observing how you're wearing whatever it is you're wearing. So if you're a person who is new, is a junior Esquire coming into the office, and you're going to spend your money on cheap clothes, because Joe A. Banks is cheap, Men's Warehouse is cheap, despite what they try to say. It ends up being cheap because you don't have the capital in each garment to make it a superior piece. Then what ends up happening is you look cheap. See, menswear is all about structure, it's all about construction, it's all about expertise, fabrication, and you can't have low-end investments or low-end investing on the constructing elements that you need and then expect something that's going to hold up over time. That's just not how it works. So when I talk to them and I say, why not invest in yourself, right? I made the necessary investment, and now I'm going to wear this at least 10 times within the next 3 months. Well, at that point, we start having this conversation of the cost per wear that was brought about, I believe, by Antonio Centeno. And you take the amount of the garment, divide that by the time that you're going to wear it, and you get your cost per wear. Well, 10 divided by 1,000 comes to $100. At $100, now I have something that is looking good that I can leverage for other things. I can leverage for a look that will get me into a club, or will also get me a potentially promotion. If me and the other guy have been working at the same level, and he came in with the cheap suit, and the bosses are looking like he's great, but we can't present him, and we have a guy who's already ready. He didn't have to get ready because he stayed ready. He's already ready to go. Then now you're going to be that step above, right? And so the other thing is when you're in that space, you have the cost versus the value. You've now been, forgot my other two verses, so we'll put those in the comments, and I'll talk about those in the comments once I watch the replay. But lastly, you end up communicating clarity. See right here, it's not clarity. If you are clear about what it is that you are attempting to obtain, the places that you're attempting to go, the people that you're attempting to encounter, then you know how to align yourself in that space. There's so many guys who will be like, well, you should just accept me for me. Bro, the world don't work like that. And even in our 30s, even in our 20s, late 20s, early 30s, 40s, 50s, I see guys who are like, well, they should accommodate themselves to be, for me. And I'm like, who are you? Who are you? Like, why would I do that? You don't hold any value to me, and if that's the case, I don't even know that you're going to be valuable. I'm going to be valuable to you, because I'm not showing proper respect to the types of spaces that I want to be in. Now, it's different if somebody wants to be around me, then they need to accommodate me. They need to make sure that they are appealing to whatever my sensibility is. But a lot of these guys are trying to level up. They're trying to elevate, and then they wonder why they can't. And it's partly because their mindset is just saying, well, you should cater to me. Why? No, I'm communicating clarity. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. So I'm willing to make the necessary investments, to make the necessary sacrifices in order to be there. If I need to show up dressed up and ready to play, suited up, then I'm going to do that. If I need to be more dressed down and more relaxed and casual, then I'm going to do that. And I can do that within my own setup and within my own mind state. So if I need to be dressed up and suited, but I tend to be a little bit more of a fun and colorful guy, even if it's conservative, I can still have, lavender pinstripes or stripes in my jacket, in my navy blue jacket that are, dark or light, not dark or light, that are a lighter pinstripe, but could be a darker color, right? And that looks great. I could, if I'm in a casual situation, I could go in and say, listen, I'm not just the casual dress down type of dude. So I invested in a great set of polos that are short sleeve that I can still wear with a great pair of chinos that are great and fit me well. And instead of me wearing sneakers like everybody else is wearing, I chose to wear loafers. It's not too much of a deviation, but it is a elevation over where everybody else is doing. See, the wealthy make investments in themselves, and they make investments into their acquisitions because they realize they are acquiring things that are going to help build their life. And it has to all make sense. It has to all piece itself together so that they can continue to leverage it over and over and over. And lastly, they are clear about what it is that they want and what they are willing to invest in order to get it. If you can do those three things, then your consciousness is going to align with what you are starting to build when it comes to your personal wardrobe and to your life. And ultimately, it will be communicated without you having to say a word. And that's what this is all about. It's me giving you the things for you to try on so that you can align, again, your identity, your integrity, and your impressions, so that if you change these eyes, you can change these eyes and the eyes of those around you. If you can do that, I promise you're always going to be on point when it comes to your personal style. But you have to be willing to dress like the wealthy and stop worrying about dressing like the rich. The rich are concerned with labels. The wealthy are concerned with longevity. So I want you to try that on, see how it fits you. If you found it beneficial, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Please make sure that you share this with 5 friends. Just share it on Facebook. And I guarantee some people are going to get some great value out of that. And outside of that, be great today. But then again, you know you already are. That's why we here. That's why you're watching this live and this replay. So now all you got to do is show up and show out in style. And above all, don't ever forget that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind. So you, yes, you should always dress to express. I'll see you next time. And make sure you dress to express with no cap. Forgot that part. We'll see you next time. Peace.